How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite aviation channel, and today we are here with the May 2023 update for Chicago O'Hare Terminal 5. This is the first Terminal 5 update of the summer break. Feels really weird to say that, but at the time you're watching this, I have been on summer break for about 2 weeks now. It feels really weird. It really does not feel like I'm on summer break. The year just went by. The semester, actually, spring semester just went by in no time, like it always does. So it's pretty unreal that I'm already halfway through my undergrad at university. It's just surreal, really. It's just an insane feeling. But here we are, Terminal 5 update for May. This update should be a bit shorter than the previous ones. The time frame for this one is actually 10:30 a.m. like I promised in the previous month's update. So 10:30, 11 a.m. not as much well, actually it's pretty busy, but it's not as much compared to the late afternoon and evening, as you'll see. And there's no traffic on the taxiways as well. I'll explain that in a few moments. But yeah, should be a pretty awesome update nonetheless. Hope you're excited. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so as always, we're going to start off this update by giving you all a brief setup tour and just showing you any changes that have been made since last month's update. So first change I wanted to show you all was that, I mean, it's not a super big change, but I moved the remote stands a bit more this way. If you remember previously, they used to be a bit more that way, but I checked Google Maps again and it turns out that these stands are a bit more towards this side, more this way relative to the expansion. So just slid everything down a little bit all the way to the end, so that's what we got there. Second thing, this is the major thing, I did paint the other side of the board here like I promised. I didn't put the windows on this side, I did on the other side. Maybe I'll put them on this side if I feel like it. There's no point, you don't really see this side, but I did paint it. If you remember previously, it was just the wood color, but I painted it. It's not black, it just looks like that because of the shadow. But yeah, white and gray just like the other side, which does have window decals now. I finally added those. So here's the expansion. It looks a bit off though. Well, I mean this one doesn't, but I'll explain this side in a moment. But this is the expansion. It's got more, floor to ceiling windows compared to the original part of Terminal 5. So yeah, bigger windows in the expansion that I could only put on this part. As you can see, this is foam, so I couldn't really put decals on the paper window things on there, but you kind of see what it's like. So looks really cool. I love how the jetways kind of blend in, so to speak, with the windows. Even though I keep forgetting to mention this, these are not actually glass jetways in real life. I just have these jetways sitting around, not really. When I'm not using them for my Karachi airport, I mean, they're just sitting around not doing anything, so I thought I might as well use them for this airport. So in reality, the Terminal 5 expansion doesn't have glass jetways, sadly enough. It's all the standard, solid jetways, so to speak. So just want to make that clear. But it looks really cool. I love how it's kind of blending in with the gray of the expansion, the gray jetways. That's really cool. Alright, moving on to the original part of Terminal 5. It's got more thin, quote-unquote, windows. As you can see, it's just a big line of windows going all the way down. The main issue that I had here is that you can kind of see the board sits up a little bit above the mat. You see that giant gap there? So it was really hard to, if I put the windows a little bit more down, it would look really weird. So I just kept with putting them in the middle of the board, so it doesn't look super weird. Because I mean, if I put them a little bit more downwards, like if I placed them a little bit more down, further down, it would look weird, but then it would kind of line up with the jetways. It's weird. I mean, it would look really weird if I had them placed a little bit more down, if you get what I'm saying. So from up here you can't really tell, or actually you sort of can, oh well. But that was the main issue that I had with putting the decals on this side, but hopefully it doesn't bother anyone too much. So moving down, you have that same kind of window pattern going, and then here's the new expanded part of the head house, bigger windows just like the expansion. So that's kind of reflected here, and then I added some more apron foils to make it look a little bit more complete. So it's kind of like a solid square shape of just apron foils, not just the cardboard. So looks a bit cooler there. Same thing with the windows going down this way, and then it just ends with the foam going back down that way. Oh, here's another thing. The shed here, if you remember from previous updates, it was a bit thinner. No idea why I used those Legos when I had the materials always on hand, because the shed is it's a pretty big shed if you've seen it in person or on Google Maps. It's a pretty big shed, and previously the Lego thing that I had previously, it was a bit more thin, and that was totally wrong. So I don't know why I didn't just make this in the first place, but finally realized that I have the Legos on hand to actually make the properly sized whatever this is, GSE shed. So I finally updated that, fixed it, so there we go. It looks a bit more realistic now. Otherwise, can't really think of anything else that I've done. What I would like to do in the future is, aside from hopefully putting foils down throughout the entirety of the mat, this head house part of Terminal 5, it's there's a lot more stuff on the roof. First of all, the expanded part is actually, it's not connected, like it's not one like uniform, you know, building. It's actually, the roof of the expansion is a bit higher than the original part. So I would like to kind of raise the ceiling a little bit in the future to reflect that, and then also there's another layer, like literally another semicircular layer right here on this side. So hopefully I can also build that to reflect that part. And then furthermore, there's another like kind of tower thing on that semicircular part. It's really, there's a whole bunch of layers on the ceiling, on the roof, which I did not add yet, but would like to in the future. So those are just some things I'm considering for the future of this diorama. Otherwise, that is really it for all the updates with regards to the setup. Now let's go ahead and move into everybody's favorite part, all the aircraft. Alright, so we're actually going to do things in reverse order this time around. So instead of starting off with the Delta side of Terminal 5, gate M2 or whatever, we're going to start off on the other side, gate M40, the last gate at the terminal, and then move our way down in reverse order. So yeah, so we'll start off here at gate M40 or M39. I think this is M40. I still haven't figured it out yet, but actually, yeah, what am I saying? It's gate M40. Southwest 737-700 in the Missouri 1 special paint scheme. Came in from Nashville, Tennessee, ironically nowhere in Missouri, but it came in from Nashville as Flight 416, going to continue onwards to Austin, Texas with that same flight number. There we go. And then moving on quickly, we're going to cover the remote stand, the only airplane here. I know this is an American ERJ-145, just imagine that it's a Denver Air Connection ERJ-145. Ironically, their name is Denver Air Connection. They don't fly to Chicago from Denver, ironically enough. So, yeah, weird. But anyway, Denver Air Connection Embraer 145. Just imagine the colorful DAC livery on this American 145. But yeah, this is Denver Air Connection. Flight number 3911 came in earlier from Watertown, South Dakota, and is now going to be operating flight 3912 to Ironwood, Michigan. Both are essential air service routes. Those two communities are some remote communities that they have there. Ironwood, Michigan, of course, and then Watertown, South Dakota. They are both served by Denver Air Connection here from Chicago O'Hare, which is really cool. And I believe they only use the remote gates. I don't believe they park at the terminal itself because it's an Embraer 145, very small plane. They don't have... actually, I'm not too sure. From what I've seen, they use the remote gates at Terminal 5 and passengers get bussed over. I think they only need one bus. It's a 50-seat plane, and I don't believe it's... Actually, sometimes it is a full flight from what I've heard, but either way, passengers, from what I've seen, they get bussed over to the plane at the remote gates. But yeah, really cool route that they have here, Denver Air Connection. Speaking of essential air service routes, we're going to have Contour Airlines as well flying here beginning August 1st. They're going to be flying to O'Hare from Marion, Illinois, which is all the way in southern Illinois, about 5 hours drive, 5.5 hours drive from Chicago itself. So it's about 3 hours from me in Champaign. So yeah, Marion, I think that's the Williamson County Regional Airport. So Contour is going to be flying from Marion, Illinois, and then also from Kirksville, Missouri on the Embraer 145s or 140s, whatever. So that'll be really cool to see, and I believe they will be using Terminal 5 as well. So once that service starts, I can't wait to showcase that. So there we go. That's DAC, Denver Air Connection. First time I'm showing them in one of these updates as far as I'm aware. Moving on to gate M34. I always, you guys know I mix these up all the time, but M34, I believe that's what this is. United Airlines flight 945 from Frankfurt 787-10 just getting offloaded. This is a 10:45 a.m. arrival, so he's here on time, just getting offloaded, passengers going through customs and all that stuff. So yeah, 787-10 is probably the most common United wide body that we get here now during the summer. All of the Dash 9 routes, Tokyo, Haneda, Sao Paulo, I think Munich was a 789 for a while, but they're all upgauged for the summer for the Dash 10, which is really, really cool. I didn't expect Sao Paulo to get upgauged, nor did I expect to see Tokyo Haneda get upgauged, but those two, yeah, those are our two longest routes from Chicago on United, and they're both upgauged to Dash 10s, which is really, really cool to see. The Sao Paulo flight, a lot of people tend to forget that we actually have service to Sao Paulo, Brazil, from Chicago. It's our only South American passenger flight. That's because it departs at like 9 p.m. at night and it arrives here at like 6:45 in the morning. So nobody sees it unless you're on board that flight. But anyway, this is from Frankfurt. And we have 2 flights a day to Frankfurt on United. So you see that all the time. Anyway, moving on to M33. Pretty sure. No, wait a minute. Oh, dear goodness. I think this is... Whatever, man. Whatever gate. This is Turkish A330-300. This actually is a 350 now, and it never really was a 330, but I'll explain in a few moments. But Turkish Airlines A330-300 just came in from Istanbul's flight 185, and it is a 9:30 arrival, flight 185, and then I think it's a 12:30 or 12:55 departure back to Istanbul as flight 186. So this flight was a 787-9 for the longest time, and then back in March they actually upgauged it to the 350. I do not have the 350. Hopefully soon I can add that to the fleet so I can showcase that in these videos. But they have actually last minute switched it to a 330. So I believe maybe earlier in April they flew the 330, the 300th aircraft sticker, TCLNC. They flew that here. A330-300. That was really cool to see. I wasn't there obviously, but it was really cool that they flew that here. And then I think they might have also brought in another 300 maybe a few weeks ago. I can't remember, but I believe it was April 8th or something like that, or May 8th. I don't even remember the day, but a few weeks ago they definitely brought a 330 in from Istanbul on the morning flight, which is really cool. There was a time where Turkish flew these here regularly on flight 5 and 6 back when they just had the one flight, and that was up until 2015, and then they upgauged it to a 777-300ER, and it's been that way ever since. But Turkish did fly the 330 here for a time. I can't talk today. It was mostly the 200, but at times they would sub in the 300 as well. But that was a long, long time ago. We're talking, again, 2014, 2015, up until then. So, yeah. Anyway, that's here. I also wanted an excuse to put the 300, the A330 in the updates, because I haven't shown that in a long time. Maybe if I do a retro O'Hare T5 update sometime in the distant future, I can put in my 200 and something like that. But that's a big what if there. But there we go. Turkish 185 from Istanbul just getting offloaded and stuff like that. All right. Next up, we got Southwest again here at gate M29. Finally got that right. Yeah, there we go. I got it now, guys. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Wow, I was way off. Or maybe I missed a few gates. I don't think we don't have an M31. I'm sorry. We do not have a gate M31. I keep forgetting that. I need to study this. I need to study the map and then get it sorted out before I film these videos. But here's a Southwest 737-700 at gate M29. Yes, that's M29. This came in, I don't know where it came from, but it's going to go to Nashville as flight 2151. That's a real flight, by the way. Okay, gate M25. We have a United 767-300ER. This came in from London Heathrow as flight 958 from Heathrow. And big shout out to Club's Aviation. He has a really pretty accurate replica of Heathrow. The terminals and the control tower, everything is pretty realistic, and I'm really impressed when I saw his airport updates. So go check it out. His channel will be linked in the card in the description, stuff and all that good stuff. So go check him out. Great replica of Heathrow. I was gonna say T5, but he has Heathrow T5, T3, all that good stuff. So really cool stuff he's got. We have this 767-300 came from Heathrow. I guess I don't really do subscriber routes, but because he has a nice replica of Heathrow, I decided to give him a shout out. But yeah, this came from Heathrow as flight 958. This is our only 767 flight on United from Chicago. Not the only one. We have, I think, 2 or 3 daily flights to Heathrow from Chicago during the summer. But they're all 767s. So the point I'm trying to make is this is our only 767 route on United, which is crazy because we used to have Paris and I think Amsterdam for a time. All were 767s, and then Paris, Amsterdam are now 787-10s, I think. Or Amsterdam is a dash 8, so something like that. But we only have one 767 flight service on United. That's Heathrow, London Heathrow. M24, we have the Frontier A321. Steve the Eagle, same plane you see every single update. This came in from Orlando as flight number 44, I believe it is, right? 44, yeah, 44 from Orlando, continuing service to Cancun with that same flight number. So just getting serviced in between flights. Moving on to some more wide bodies. We have All Nippon Airways 777-300ER. This came in from Tokyo Haneda as flight 112, and it is just awaiting the gate to the jetway to detach. It's going to get towed over, or no, it'll push back and then get taxied over to Terminal 1, where it will board for Tokyo Narita as flight 11. So I've mentioned this in previous updates. ANA has they kind of flip-flop because they have 2 flights a day to Chicago now, like it was pre-pandemic. So they have the morning arrival from Tokyo Haneda. It's a 8:30 a.m. arrival from Haneda as flight 112, and then it's the plane departs back at 12:45, I think. But instead of going to Haneda, it goes to the other airport, which is Tokyo Narita. And then at 2 p.m. we have flight, what is that, flight 12? I think. Flight 12 lands around 2:55. That's coming in from Narita, and then that plane departs at 5:45, I think, and it goes to Haneda as flight 111. So it's just they flip-flop, basically, if you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, that's going to get pushed back, head over to Terminal 1, it'll depart from there. Next up, we have Korean Air 777-300ER, and this is flight number 37 from Seoul Incheon, and just came in around 8:30 or something, 9 a.m., and it departs back to Incheon as flight 38 at around the same time, 12:55, 12:45. All these flights, you'll see they all depart around the same time, 12:30, 12:45, 1. It's all the same kind of rush period they got there. So yeah, that's Korean. Next up in that rush, we have Air India here. Flight 127 from Delhi lands at 6:30 in the morning. Has probably the longest turnaround time out of all the planes here. 6:30 a.m. arrival from New Delhi. Flight 127 departs back to Delhi at, again, 12:30, something like that, as flight 126. And they've been doing that for the longest time, which is really, really, really cool. I think they used to have a flight to Hyderabad, India. They started that in the height of the pandemic, like December of 2020, and that was on the 777-200 LR, and they cut that after like a year. I don't know. It was a really, really short-lived extra service they had to Hyderabad. So I never got to see it, but it was really cool that they flew that here, the 777-200 LR. So yeah. All right, next up, yep, this is here now. Etihad is now part of the morning and afternoon, that morning, early afternoon rush period. So if you've been watching these videos for a while, you know Etihad has been part of the standard afternoon, evening kind of international rush. And that was because ever since they changed, they flip-flopped their schedule here for quite a few times, actually. I think originally when they started flying to Chicago in 2011, they were a 3 p.m. arrival and then the 8 p.m. departure. And then sometime later, maybe 2014, they changed the schedule. As I remember seeing Etihad arrive as late as like 6 p.m. at one time when I was flying out in December of 2013. I remember seeing the 777 come in at like 6 or 7 p.m. It was really weird, but they might have been delayed that day. I have no idea. But either way, I think 2014, 2015, they changed their schedule. So they arrived at 8 a.m. and departed at like 12:45 p.m. And again, in 2018, they changed the schedule back to the 3 p.m. arrival, 8 p.m. departure. And it's been that way ever up until a few months ago when they reverted back to the morning arrival and the, 12 p.m. afternoon departure. So that's where we're at right now. Etihad Airways Flight 151 from Abu Dhabi came in at like 8:30 a.m. and Flight 150 back to Abu Dhabi departs at 1230 or something like that. A350-1000, by the way, and that's a 777-300ER. I don't think I mentioned this is also a 777-300ER. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to say the plane type. Sorry, it's like 11 p.m. at night, by the way. Next up, this is I think the only new model of the update. Managed to find one of these Ethiopian 787s, and of course had to get it because these fly here. Before it was the 777 that I used to have, the 777-200LR. I still have it, but I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more realistic, so I got the 787. And anyway, the Dash 8 is actually a bit more common than the Dash 9, but either way, it's a 787, and I prefer the Dash 8. Sorry, the Dash 9 a lot more. So here we have Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 787-9 pushing back for its return flight to Addis Ababa as Flight 575. This is a non-stop service back to Addis Ababa, but the inbound flight, Flight 574, comes in via Dublin, and I've mentioned that many times in the past. So yeah, they're a 10:30 departure. They're, I think they are the first international long-haul airline departure of the day, 10:30 a.m. back to Addis Ababa. And this is a bit weird as well. Why is Royal Jordanian here? Interesting thing is that they actually have an extra service that they add during the summer, it seems like. I never got a clear answer what they're doing. But I believe ever since April or May, they've been adding a second service on certain days. So the usual flight, as we know, is Flight 263 and 264, which is at 3 p.m. arrival, 8 p.m. departure. But they now have this extra flight, Flight 265, I think it is, and 266 outbound. So it comes in around 6:37 a.m. and 7 or something like that in the morning, and departs back to Amman at 11:55, 12, something like that. And it only operates on certain days during the week. It doesn't operate every single day of the week. But still, it's really interesting. I'm not too sure why that is. I'm assuming obviously Chicago has a huge Arab American population from all sorts of countries in the Arab world, and Royal Jordanian is, for people traveling to Jordan and nearby countries, there the best option to go nonstop there. So I'm assuming that's why we have so many. That's why they upgauge the flights, because the demand just soars during the summer period. Not hard to see why. So yeah, so that's Flight 265 from Amman, Flight 266 back to Amman, 787-8. If anybody knows what the frequency is of this extra flight, let me know, because I can't really figure it out. Or I haven't really looked into it that much, but all I know is that they do operate this extra flight at certain periods during the summer, which is really, really cool to see. Okay, big surprise. My camera ran out of space on its SD card. I still haven't bought a new SD card yet. I have to do that as soon as possible. I apologize, everybody. Hopefully this will be the last update where I have to switch to my camera, to my phone. Again, super sorry about that. But continuing onwards with Terminal 5, we got the Japan Airlines Boeing 787-9. Just realized we have all 787s here. That's pretty cool. And, well, not all 787s, but 3 in a row. Because more airlines are getting them, and it's just becoming a much more common plane all over the world, obviously. But speaking of Japan Airlines, they're actually, I believe, upgauging to the A350-1000 later this year. I don't think they didn't take delivery yet of the first one. But their first 1000 has been built. Not fully built. I think it's still waiting on the engines, but they will be taking delivery of their first 350-1000 later this year, and Chicago is going to be one of the first places they send it. I believe JFK might be the other one. So it's going to be replacing the 777, if you didn't realize or figure that out already. The 350-900 is replacing the 777-200s, already has mainly on domestic flights, and then the 350-1000, they're going to get a fair amount of, I think they're getting at least 20 maybe, I don't know, I can't remember, but they're getting a lot of the 1000s, and it's going to entirely replace their 333 fleet, which is crazy. It's already time to replace that plane, but to be fair, they have a pretty relatively older fleet of 333s compared to everybody else who operates it. But anyway, the 787-9 is currently operating their passenger service. The 777-300ER is not here anymore, in Chicago at least. So flight 9 and 10 to and from Haneda is on the 789, and it is to Haneda, by the way. It used to be Narita for the longest time, but I believe ever since the pandemic, they have changed it to go solely out of Haneda, which is, they're mainly focusing on Haneda for international operations, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, this is flight 10 in from Haneda, and it's just finished offloading and everything. It is going to get pushed back, and it will taxi under its own power, literally right across the taxiway, Terminal 3, Concourse K. And it'll board from there and depart back to Haneda as flight number 9. So it's really cool. At O'Hare, I think this is the only airport in the US where you see the international carriers, some of them like physically switch terminals. I don't know of any other airport. Like JFK doesn't do it as far as I'm aware. Newark, Miami, Orlando, LA. This is the only airport I can think of where you actually see some international carriers physically change terminals between arrival and departures. Like Japan Airlines changes from 5 to 3, ANA back there changes from 5 to 1, and then you have Lufthansa also from 5 to 1, Iberia also from 5 to 3. It's interesting. O'Hare's, I think we are the only airport that does that. If anybody can name any other airport that has that same kind of operation, let me know. But I can't think of any other airport where you'll see like this plane is going to push back and then taxi to a completely different terminal to depart from. It's a interesting movement that they do. I can't think of anywhere else that it's replicated. All right, gate M11, Delta Airbus A220-100. This is going to be the flight 1480 across to New York LaGuardia, as usual. LaGuardia, A220s, what else? 757 without winglets. Oh, the beautiful 757. This is going to go to Atlanta, to and from Atlanta with that same flight number, 1178. And then we have the A321 over here, filling in for an A320. It's going to, I was going to say St. Paul, Minneapolis, St. Paul, as flight 1686. I believe that's actually not, I think it's a 717 actually. The 320 goes to Salt Lake City, but I think I might have seen it on Flight Radar going to Minneapolis. I can't remember right now. Yeah, we don't get the 321 from anywhere other than Atlanta sometimes. But whatever, until I get a 717 or a 320, you'll be seeing this in the 737-900. But that's going to Minneapolis, flight 1686. And last but not least, another substitution is the A220-300 going to Detroit as flight 1208, filling in for a 717. But technically this is replacing the 717, give or take. I think the 220 in general, I think, is replacing the 717 fleet. But for now, it's a 717 Detroit service. Until I get a 717, again, you're just going to keep seeing these. We do get these actually to Seattle for the time being, but not to Detroit. Anyway, I digress. And that concludes the update. That is it for today's video. Maybe because of me talking so much, it might have been just as long as previous videos, but whatever, man. It don't matter. As long as you enjoyed the video, that's all that matters. News though, we have 2 new airlines that have started service to Chicago this month actually. The day I'm filming this is May 18th. You're not going to see this till the 27th, I believe. But today, WestJet, oh boy, WestJet is back from Calgary. They started service in the 737. Today was 800. But I believe they'll be operating the 700 as well later on, which is great because I have the model of the 700. I don't want to get the 800. I could not be bothered enough to get that model. But WestJet is back. They ended service to Toronto like 2022, like literally last year on the Dash 8. That service failed horribly, and they're back again. They resumed their service from Calgary that they cut back in 2018. So they resumed that route. For the summer. I think it is summer seasonal only, but I could be wrong on that. So they are back. I'll be sure to feature them in the next update. There are 3 p.m. arrival, 5 p.m. departure, so you'll see them in the next update for sure. The second and more notable addition is Air Serbia. They started service yesterday, May 17th, from Belgrade on the A330-200. That's their first time serving Chicago. Their predecessor was JAT Yugoslav Airlines, and they stopped flying to Chicago from Belgrade on May 17th of 1992. So if you notice anything, Air Serbia launched their new service exactly, 31 years, exactly May 17th, exactly 31 years after the last nonstop service operated between Chicago and Belgrade in Serbia. So crazy. They knew what they were doing, and they're going to be really successful as far as I can tell. The flights are all sold out through at least mid-June for Air Serbia. They're going to operate twice a week until June 12th, and then thrice a week from that point onwards. So unfortunately, that model is like impossible to find, the Air Serbia 330. If I can ever find it, I will get it, and I cannot wait until that day, because it is a really cool livery, really cool airline, and yeah, it's gonna do really well, that service to Chicago. So I can't wait to hopefully showcase that one day. But as far as their schedule goes, they have a varying schedule. It depends on what day. Monday schedule is different from Wednesday, and their Wednesday schedule is different from Saturday, whatever. But you can check out my article that I wrote on Air Serbia's new service to Chicago on Aero Explorer, and I will link that article in the description so you can check it out, get the full scoop. And yeah, great source. Check out Aero Explorer for any aviation news needs. They got everything. So yeah, anyways, that's it for Chicago O'Hare news. Can't really think of anything else. I kind of covered it all that I needed to. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Comment with any questions, concerns, anything like that. I will do my best to address anything. Now that I'm on summer break, I will be taking one summer course, but hopefully that shouldn't be too bad. And travel plans, I have some travel plans, but I'll reveal those at the, I don't really talk about that stuff much anyways, but you'll see if any of that takes place. And then, yeah, then I do have an internship lined up. We'll see about that. I don't want to talk about it too much right now until I start, and then we'll see what happens. I think if all goes well, I should have started by now, by the time you're watching this, but you'll probably have heard about it already by this point. But anyways, summer is going to be pretty packed, I hope, and I hope I'll enjoy everything that takes place during the summer. And at the same time, I hope I can continue getting videos out for you all to enjoy. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, sticking around until the end. Really appreciate it. Take care, everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.